way to make an impression is to relax, man. You gotta be calm. Chill out a little bit. Hurt me! Hurt me!
Before the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air made Will Smith a household name, he was hiding from the IRS. The show's Bel-Air Mansion wasn't in Bel-Air, and beloved Uncle Phil was secretly voicing a supervillain in your other favorite childhood cartoon. Think you knew this show? Think again. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fact 1. Will Smith's IRS nightmare funded the show.
Hang out with Dad.
Well, actually, Keith is a comic. He's gonna be large, too. He's coming out here, it's a big show.
Before Will Smith ever set foot on the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, his financial life was in complete ruins. During the late 1980s, Smith had become a successful rapper as one half of the duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and The Fresh Prince. The group scored a triple platinum album and even won the first Grammy Award ever given for Best Rap Performance. With money coming in fast, the young Smith did what a lot of people his age would have done. He spent it on cars, motorcycles, diamond-encrusted jewelry, and a lifestyle that was way beyond his means. The one thing he did not spend money on was his taxes. By the time the IRS came knocking, they were looking for $2.8 million in unpaid back taxes. Smith later described the moment bluntly, saying they wanted $2.8 million and he had $2.83. The IRS responded by seizing nearly everything he owned. Cars, motorcycles, anything of value was taken. Smith himself described the experience as sobering, saying there is nothing more humbling than having 6 cars and a mansion one day and not being able to buy gas for any of them the next. It was at this low point that a lifeline appeared. Producer Quincy Jones brought Smith an offer to star in a new NBC sitcom. Smith was resistant at first, worried that doing television would kill his music career entirely. But with the government breathing down his neck, he had little choice. He signed on, and the show was greenlit that same night in a limousine outside a party at Quincy Jones's house. Even after the show became a hit, Smith's financial troubles were not over. The IRS garnished 70% of every paycheck he received for the entire first 3 seasons. To the world, the Fresh Prince was riding high. Behind the scenes, Smith later said it was terrible having that kind of success while quietly being broke. He described being famous and broke as a terrible combination because people still recognized him while he was sitting next to them on the bus. It was only after the 3rd season wrap that he finally paid off the debt and got back to zero. Fact 2. Carlton was nearly fired after the pilot.
That's pretty quick for a big guy. I mean, he kept up with the car for a whole block.
Most people cannot imagine the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air without Carlton Banks, the preppy, uptight, Tom Jones-loving cousin who became one of the most beloved characters in 90s television. But there was a very real moment when Carlton almost did not make it past the first episode. Alfonso Ribeiro, the actor who played Carlton, was cast for the show's pilot episode and filmed it without any issues. The problem came from above. Warren Littlefield, who was a senior executive at NBC at the time and soon to be promoted to network president, watched the pilot and did not like what he saw. Specifically, he did not find Alfonso Ribeiro funny in the role. He felt Carlton, as Ribeiro was playing him, was not landing, and he ordered the character to be rewritten and recast before the show ever made it to air. There were even reports that Littlefield worried the Carlton character could come across as insulting to white audiences. The cast and crew were not willing to let that happen. They had spent time with Ribeiro during filming and had already developed a strong bond with him. Will Smith himself lobbied for Alfonso to stay. For 6 weeks, members of the production pushed back against the network's decision, making the case that Ribeiro was exactly right for the part. Somehow, against the odds, NBC reversed course, and Ribeiro got the call that he was back. What followed was one of the most iconic comedic performances in sitcom history. The Carlton dance alone became a cultural phenomenon that is still referenced and recreated decades later. But Ribeiro has also spoken openly about the double-edged nature of playing the character, because being so closely associated with Carlton made it genuinely difficult to be cast in other roles once the show ended. He eventually transitioned into directing television episodes and hosting, most notably becoming the longtime host of America's Funniest Home Videos. Fact 3. The Bel-Air mansion isn't in Bel-Air.
Well, now you look. Now all I want to do is spend some quality time with my family.
One of the most recognizable images in 90s television is the wide shot of the enormous white mansion that appears in the opening credits of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the place that would become Will's new home after moving from West Philadelphia. The show is named after the neighborhood. The theme song is about getting to that neighborhood. And yet, the house that represents Bel-Air in the show is not actually in Bel-Air at all. The exterior of the Banks family home, the one shown in the opening credits and used for the outdoor scenes throughout the series, is located in a neighborhood called Brentwood, which is a separate and distinct part of Los Angeles. Bel-Air and Brentwood are both wealthy Los Angeles neighborhoods, but they are not the same place, and the house that became famous as the Banks Mansion technically belongs to a different zip code than the one the show is named after. This kind of geographical flexibility is extremely common in television production, where the pressure to find a visually suitable location often outweighs any need for strict accuracy. Production teams scout for properties that look right on camera, and the actual address tends to be secondary. For a show built entirely around the idea of arriving in Bel-Air, it is a quietly amusing footnote that the mansion anchoring that premise was never quite where the show said it was. As an additional layer to this, the interior scenes of the Banks home were not filmed at that Brentwood property at all. Those were shot entirely on a soundstage miles away from both Brentwood and Bel-Air. The exterior and interior shots were two completely separate locations, which is actually what led to the famous running gag involving Jazz being thrown out of the house, as discussed in a later fact. Fact 4. Uncle Phil was also the voice of Shredder.
And laughing together and I'll think of a few more things as soon as I finish watching those Cosby reruns.
James Avery, the actor who played the dignified, booming-voiced Philip Banks, also known as Uncle Phil, is remembered by most viewers as the warm but firm father figure at the center of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But while he was busy playing one of television's most beloved parent figures, he was simultaneously voicing one of the most notorious cartoon villains of the same era. During the same years he appeared on The Fresh Prince, Avery served as the voice of Shredder, the main antagonist in the original animated series Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which ran throughout the late 1980s and into the 90s. Shredder was the scheming, armor-wearing villain who constantly plotted against the four turtles and their sensei, Splinter. He was a character defined by menace, dramatic declarations, and a deep, commanding voice, which was exactly what Avery brought to the role. The contrast between the two characters could not be more dramatic. Uncle Phil was a Harvard-educated judge who valued fairness, family, and doing the right thing. Shredder was a power-hungry warlord with a helmet shaped like a blade. Yet the same man voiced both of them, often during the same period in his career. Avery had a rich background that went far beyond those two roles. He had served in the United States Navy, studied Shakespearean theater during time spent in England, and earned an Emmy Award for a piece of writing he completed before his acting career fully took off. When younger fans who grew up watching both shows eventually connected the dots and realized that Uncle Phil and Shredder shared the same voice, many of them described it as one of the most genuinely surprising pop culture discoveries of their childhoods. Fact 5. The Carlton dance was stolen from Courtney Cox.
I want to do something that makes a difference and makes people feel good.
Well, that's wonderful.
I want to be a comedian.
The Carlton dance is one of the most recognized moves in pop culture history. If you even hum a few notes of Tom Jones's "It's Not Unusual," there is a good chance someone nearby will immediately start swaying their arms and shifting their hips in a very particular way. The dance became iconic. It launched 1,000 imitations, it became a reference point across generations, and it eventually led to a legal dispute with the video game Fortnite when the game added a version of it as a purchasable character emote. But the origin of the dance is not what most people assume. Alfonso Ribeiro did not simply invent the Carlton dance out of thin air. He has explained publicly that the inspiration actually came from two specific sources that he combined and adapted. The first was a music video from 1984 in which a then unknown actress named Courtney Cox was pulled on stage by Bruce Springsteen during a performance of the song "Dancing in the Dark." The way Cox moved in that video, enthusiastic and slightly stiff, caught Ribeiro's attention. The second inspiration was a sketch by comedian Eddie Murphy, in which Murphy performed what he called the white man's dance, an exaggerated impression of how white people move on a dance floor, heavy on the upper body, and slightly out of sync with the rhythm in the most endearing possible way. Ribeiro took those two reference points, blended them into something new, and applied them to Carlton, a character defined by his earnest obliviousness to how he came across. The result was a dance that perfectly captured Carlton's personality without a single word being spoken. The copyright dispute with Epic Games, the company behind Fortnite, was ultimately dropped in 2019 after the United States Copyright Office declined to grant Ribeiro a copyright for the choreography. Fact 6. The cast kept a secret. Burn book.
What are you kids saying?
What we're saying is, here's $10. Go to the movies. Run! Hey, come on!
Long before the movie Mean Girls popularized the idea of a burn book as a place to write gossip and grievances about the people around you, the cast and crew of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had their own version of one hidden right on set. And unlike the fictional one in the movie, this one was real. Tucked inside a drawer in the kitchen island on the show's interior set, there was a notebook that functioned as an informal, shared journal for anyone working on the show. Actors, camera operators, crew members, anyone who felt the urge could open the drawer, pull out the notebook, and write something down. Sometimes the entries were lighthearted, silly poems, or random thoughts. Other times they were more pointed, brief venting about a fellow cast member who was getting on someone's nerves. Karen Parsons, who played Hilary Banks, revealed the notebook's existence in a 2014 interview with ABC. She described entries that ranged from creative little verses to complaints that read something like, "James is getting on my nerves." The notebook was accessible to everyone who spent time on set, which gave it a strange communal quality, somewhere between a shared diary and an anonymous suggestion box. When the show wrapped after 6 seasons, Parsons kept the notebook. She has spoken about it with obvious affection, particularly in the years after James Avery's passing in 2013. She told interviewers that she knew Avery had written in it and that he had almost certainly been written about too, and she expressed a desire to go back and read through it again as a way of reconnecting with that part of her life. The notebook has never been made public. Fact 7. Jazz's ejection scene was shot dozens of times.
Let me refresh your memory. From the time we was in kindergarten, everything we did, I always beat you like you stole something.
One of the most beloved running gags on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was the recurring sight of Will's best friend Jazz, played by DJ Jazzy Jeff, being physically thrown out of the Banks family home, usually by Uncle Phil. The moment became so ingrained in the show's identity that audiences came to expect it, and the sight of Jazz wearing a particular brown patterned shirt became a visual signal that an ejection was coming. What most viewers did not know is that the whole thing started with an incredibly painful shoot day. DJ Jazzy Jeff revealed the truth in an interview with the Breakfast Club radio show, where he explained that the original plan was to film the ejection scene multiple times throughout the series so there would be a variety of different shots to use. On the day they filmed at the actual exterior location of the house, The stunt required him to jump onto a mat on the other side of the door while making it look like he had been thrown. Every take required him to jump, and getting a usable shot meant doing it over and over again. By his account, it took around 50 tries to get a take they were happy with, and by the end of it, he was, in his words, black and blue. After going through that experience 2 or 3 times across different filming sessions, DJ Jazzy Jeff made his position clear. He told producers he was not doing it anymore. He was not a stuntman, and his body simply could not keep taking that kind of punishment for a comedy bit. The producers, not wanting to lose the gag entirely, landed on a simple solution. They would reuse the best existing take every time the joke called for it. That same clip, with Jazz in that same brown shirt, was reused throughout the entire run of the series, appearing at least 11 times across 6 seasons. What audiences assumed was a wardrobe choice for the character was actually a practical decision born out of one very painful afternoon on set. Fact 8. The theme song was written in 15 minutes.
Giving you gold here.
See, Carlton, this is why people trip you in the halls.
Yo Home to Bel-Air, the theme song for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, is one of the most universally recognized pieces of television music ever created. Decades after the show ended, people can still recite its lyrics word for word, and it has become one of the internet's most enduring memes, with users tricking each other into reading what appears to be a personal story that gradually transforms into the song's opening verse. Given how deeply embedded the song is in popular culture, the story of how it was written is almost comically anticlimactic. According to DJ Jazzy Jeff, who produced the music for the song, while Will Smith wrote the lyrics, the entire thing came together in roughly 15 minutes. Smith had been given the pilot scripts to read so he could familiarize himself with the concept of the show. And when it came time to write the theme, he simply sat down and put the show's premise into rhyme. The narrative structure of the song, starting with life in West Philadelphia, the fight, the mother's decision, the cab ride, and the arrival in Bel-Air, mirrors the setup of the show so cleanly that it functions almost as a musical summary of the pilot episode. The song originally aired in a longer version during the show's first episode, running 1 minute and 45 seconds and including additional lyrics describing the first-class plane ride to Bel-Air. Subsequent episodes used a shortened version that cut those details. The song was composed by Quincy Jones, who served as the show's executive producer, but the lyrics and rap performance belong entirely to Smith and Jeff, a duo who had already been performing together for years before the show began. The fact that something so immediately recognizable and culturally durable took 15 minutes to write remains one of the stranger footnotes in television history. Fact 9. The theme song soundtrack was only released in the Netherlands.
Bit early for your date? Oh, I'm not going on a date. I'm going on a phone call.
The theme song for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air became a massive hit, not in the United States, but specifically in Europe, and most specifically in the Netherlands. In 1992, Jive Records released a single version of the song, officially titled Yo Home to Bel-Air, as a physical release in the Netherlands and Spain. The single was not made available for purchase anywhere else in the world, including the United States, which is a genuinely strange situation given how popular the show was in America. In the Netherlands, the song charted for 10 weeks on the Dutch Top 40, peaking at number 3. On the broader Netherlands Single Top 100, the extended remix version of the track reached number 4 and stayed on the chart for 15 weeks. In Spain, the song debuted at number 2 and remained in the top 20 for 7 weeks. By any measure, the song was performing like a genuine pop hit in those markets. Back in America, listeners who wanted to own the song had no official physical way to purchase it. The show's record label, Jive Records, was reportedly reluctant to release the song as a single in the United States because they were concerned it would saturate the airwaves and eat into the commercial success of the duo's other music releases. As a result, one of the most heard songs in American television history was never formally available for purchase in America during its original run. It was only through streaming platforms becoming widely available in later years that American fans could finally access a studio version of the song without having to track down an imported copy from overseas. Fact 10. Will Smith mouthed other actors' lines on camera.
Yeah, what's up, baby? Yeah, this your suntan Superman.
When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiered in 1990, Will Smith was not an actor. He was a rapper, a Grammy-winning one at that, but he had almost no experience performing in front of a camera for a scripted role. His only prior acting credit before landing the show was a brief appearance in an after-school special, where he played a t-shirt salesman. Knowing this, it is not entirely surprising that he developed some unusual habits early in the show's run to cope with the anxiety of getting his performance right. Smith's solution to the fear of forgetting his lines was to memorize not just his own dialogue, but the lines of every single other character in the scene. His thinking was that if he kept the entire script active in his memory at all times, his own lines would stay fresh and accessible. He was so committed to this approach that he would internally recite the words of whoever was speaking at any given moment, following along even as other cast members delivered their dialogue. The problem was that sometimes his mouth moved slightly when he was doing this. If you go back and watch some of the earliest episodes of the first season and pay close attention to Will's face when other characters are speaking, you can occasionally catch him mouthing their lines along with them, barely visible, but clearly there if you know what to look for. Smith himself has reflected on those early episodes with some embarrassment, describing his early performances as the work of someone trying too hard and overcompensating with raw effort. Over time, as he became more comfortable with the craft of acting, those habits faded, and by later seasons, his performances had become far more naturalistic and confident. Fact 11. The dad monologue was widely misattributed.
Oh, Elmer Fudd, and he got little chiclet teeth. Yo, that's fly, G.
The scene that closes out the fourth season episode, Papa's Got a Brand New Excuse, is widely regarded as one of the most emotionally powerful moments in sitcom history. In it, Will's father Lou shows up after 14 years of absence, promises to take Will on a road trip, and then abruptly cancels at the last minute. What follows is a monologue in which Will breaks down in front of Uncle Phil, cycling through defiance, grief, and exhaustion before finally asking the devastating question of why his father does not want him. It is the kind of scene that made audiences forget they were watching a comedy, and it has been viewed and discussed millions of times since the show ended. Over the years, a widely repeated story emerged online, claiming that Will Smith had not been acting in that scene at all, but rather channeling his own genuine pain over a father who had abandoned him in real life. Some versions of the story went even further, claiming the monologue was entirely improvised and that the episode was originally supposed to end on a lighter note. These claims spread without any sourcing and eventually became accepted as fact in many corners of the internet. None of it is accurate. Will Smith's relationship with his actual father, Willard Carroll Smith Sr., was not one of abandonment. His parents did separate when he was young, but his father remained actively present and supportive throughout his life and was reportedly the person who encouraged Will to pursue his music career in the first place. The episode's co-writer, Bill Boulware, has said the storyline was drawn from his own personal experiences growing up without a father. The monologue itself was fully scripted. Smith has also confirmed that the final scene was not done in one take, but required multiple attempts because of his own anxiety about delivering it correctly. Fact 12. Jada Pinkett was rejected for being too short.
If I got the right suit.
Oh, darn. Now Arnold's gonna have to return his.
Before Jada Pinkett became Jada Pinkett Smith, Before she and Will Smith became one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples, she auditioned for a recurring role on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and was turned down. The role in question was Lisa, a love interest for Will's character who was introduced in the show's later seasons. Pinkett went through the audition process, but producers ultimately decided not to cast her. The reason given, according to multiple accounts of what happened, was a combination of height difference and screen chemistry. Will Smith is noticeably tall and Jada Pinkett is noticeably petite, and producers reportedly felt the physical contrast between them was too significant to work comfortably on camera. The on-screen chemistry between the two during the audition was also described as not clicking in the way the role required. The irony, of course, is that the audition process brought them together in real life. Despite not landing the role, Pinkett developed a connection with Smith during the process, and the two began a relationship that eventually led to their marriage on December 31, 1997. The role of Lisa was ultimately filled by another actress. This is one of those behind-the-scenes moments that is both funny and genuinely strange to think about. A casting decision made partly on the basis of height led directly to one of the most high-profile marriages in Hollywood history. The woman who was rejected for being too short to stand next to Will Smith on a sitcom ended up standing next to him at the altar. Fact 13. Will Smith appeared on Blossom as a cross-promotional stunt.
Me in my stomach with this thing. Had it been Carlton, you could have put his eye out.
During the fall 1991 television season, NBC was working to build its Monday night lineup, and one of the ways it chose to do this was by having cast members from one show appear in another show airing the same night. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and a sitcom called Blossom were paired together as part of this strategy, with Blossom airing immediately after Fresh Prince in the same time slot. To generate interest and draw viewers across both shows, Will Smith appeared in an episode of Blossom titled I'm With the Band, playing himself under his rap stage name, The Fresh Prince. The crossover was a straightforward promotional arrangement. If fans of Fresh Prince stayed on the channel after their show ended, they would see a familiar face and might decide to keep watching. The tactic was a fairly standard network strategy for the era, but seeing a character from one show appear in another universe mid-season was still unusual enough to draw attention. It did not stop there. The connection between the two shows went further, with Karen Parsons, who played Hillary Banks on Fresh Prince, also appearing in a separate episode of Blossom as her Fresh Prince character. So both shows briefly shared characters across their universes in a way that felt more like a sustained marketing effort than a one-time gimmick. These kinds of crossovers helped solidify NBC's Monday night identity during that particular period, even if they feel slightly strange in hindsight. Fact 14. The show was canceled, then revived by affiliate stations.
To the Arsenio Hall show, and she was like, woo, 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 woo.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is remembered as a 6-season success story, but what most people do not know is that the show was supposed to end after season 4. NBC executives had quietly decided to cancel it, and the circumstances behind that decision reveal a lot about how network television economics worked during the 90s. By the end of season 4, Fresh Prince had been on the air for nearly 100 episodes, which was a significant milestone. NBC executives noticed that new episodes of the show were drawing only slightly higher ratings than reruns of the same show. When they ran the numbers, they concluded it would be more cost-efficient to stop producing new episodes and simply move the existing catalog into syndication, where reruns could generate steady revenue without the cost of continued production. From a purely financial standpoint, cancellation made sense. What they had not fully accounted for was the reaction from NBC's local affiliate stations around the country. Affiliates depend on having enough programming to fill their schedules, and they were not ready to lose Fresh Prince from the rotation. The affiliates pushed back, signaling that they valued the show and were willing to pay higher fees to keep it in production. Viewer mail supporting the show also played a role in changing the network's thinking. NBC reversed course and renewed the show for 2 additional seasons, which is why seasons 5 and 6 exist at all. By the time the show finally did end, the decision came from Will Smith himself, who felt ready to transition fully into his growing film career. The show ended on its own terms, but only because a business calculation made by a network was overridden by the people who depended on the show from the outside. Fact 15. Jeffrey the Butler's last name was literally Butler.
Shapes of your favorite cartoon characters.
Jeffrey, I really don't think Kevin and I would like...
Whoa!
The character of Jeffrey on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is one of the great dry-witted supporting players in sitcom history. Played by Joseph Marcel, a classically trained actor with a background in Shakespearean theater, Jeffrey served as the Banks family's sardonic British butler, delivering insults with perfect composure and always finding a way to make his observations land at exactly the right moment. He was also, it turns out, the subject of one of the show's quietest and most low-key jokes, one that took years for many fans to even notice. Jeffrey's full legal name is Jeffrey Barbara Butler. His last name, the name of the Banks family's professional butler, is literally Butler. This was not an accident. It was a deliberate choice by the writers, a piece of deadpan humor embedded so quietly into the character's background that it could easily be missed entirely. His middle name, Barbara, was also a deliberate absurdity, revealed in a 6th season episode when his estranged son arrives and recites personal details about Jeffrey's life, including the middle name, to prove he knows who his father really is. The name was not just a throwaway detail tucked in a writer's room joke. It reflects a broader comedic philosophy the show occasionally employed, where the funniest choice was sometimes the most understated one. Putting the punchline directly into the character's identity rather than into a scene or a monologue meant that only the most attentive viewers would catch it. Joseph Marcel himself has spoken about the challenge of playing a character like Jeffrey, noting that American audiences were largely unfamiliar with the idea of a black British man, and that he had to work carefully to define the character in a way that felt real rather than like a collection of stereotypes.